Actual flight training is still on hold, but this ridiculous home setup is finally close to ready to go. I'm racing to get this episode out because next week is going to be really exciting, even though AirVenture is canceled.
So we had to make it happen. So we're going to do a sim venture, a simulated Oshkosh, simulating the Fisk arrival.
That's a good ride.
Mile and a half outside of Fisk, I see a high-wing Cessna. Rock your wings. Good rock, Cessna.
So we're going to use the real air traffic controllers that would be controlling Oshkosh this year. That'll be controlling the simulated version, which we call Sim Venture.
And this episode is about the first test flight in this awesome new setup. Okay, I got 2 coaches on board. Let's beat me up.
Well, you're in an airplane with the engines running at a Class Delta airport.
So my plan is to fly the Fisk arrival in this setup next week, and I hope as many of you guys as possible can join us. It's been really difficult this season, missing the major events. But it's also been kind of inspiring to see how people have figured out new ways to get things done. So it's been a crazy busy time actually, despite the fact that so many things are canceled right now. I've got amazing footage coming from the last production trip I did of 2020, which was in February at the Garmin factory. We got unprecedented access. It's going to be amazing stuff. That one's coming out in a couple days. And I've got some original footage from AirVenture because I sit on raw footage for so long. So this is going to be a really great one about flying with an airshow pilot from AirVenture. So that's coming out at the end of the week. This is not a paid promotion for PilotEdge. I just really think what they're doing is cool, and I wanted to share it, and I wanted to get this video out as fast as possible and get the setup figured out so that I could fly the Fisk arrival too.
We got together with AOPA and EAA, as well as NACA controllers. Everybody came together to make this happen. A lot of airplanes over 4 separate days.
And it was a bit of a challenge to get the sim stuff set up working right. But my buddy John, who is awesome, he makes these all metal panels from State Level Avionics. Shout out to him. Set me up with Jared from Real Sim Gear, who makes these G1000 panels. Amazing buttons and knobs that actually work and everything. Jared was awesome to update the plugins to make them work for me for the DA62 to perfectly fit the screens from the virtual panel into these physical screens, so it's actually talking to the sim, seeing the same real information. So thanks to Jared and John, Real Sim Gear and State Level Avionics. Not paying me, but they did send me the stuff, and I want to share how awesome this stuff is because it's legit. So now let's go fly this setup for the first time really. I got Jason from the Finer Points, who's going to be my CFI remotely as much as possible these days. We're going to fly the Fisk arrival next week, and I invited Scott from PilotEdge to help us kind of get this figured out. Okay, one more check that things are rolling. I have a GoPro, I have another GoPro, DSLR, phone recording, and I will capture the iPad. All right, controls are working. I do need to thank Thrustmaster. They are sponsoring this video. The new Sidestick is working great. I'm trying to set myself up to fly the DA42 in the real world. I'm using a DA62 in X-Plane. I'm still waiting for the platform thingy that Thrustmaster's coming out with, so I'm currently using my drum throne, but I've now got the stick pretty much where I want it. This is the first time we tried to do all this stuff, but it's working, right? We have a stream of a sim going to you guys with audio. Jason's seeing what I'm seeing with buttons through the FaceTime phone. And Scott is here.
Oh, there I am. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I got you. Okay, so I'm sitting in a DA62 at Van Nuys running. So Jason makes the point that I should, to set my routine up, have gone through my proper right from the get-go, use my checklist to do my whole engine start and everything, right?
So like, if I'm coaching you here on the sim, I would say sit down, fasten your seatbelt, give a little passenger briefing here and go through your engine start. Even if you kind of like breeze through it, go through it. You know, go through every single piece of the flight that you're going to do when you get in the plane.
Yeah, so I don't disagree with that. So I think to do this for real, I'll get myself a DA62 checklist into ForeFlight here, because then I can use it up high in my eyeline. Currently got the T6 checklist up. So one of the things I fixed with this new setup was getting the iPad up into my eyeline to avoid problems like this. And I'm going to dive into the ground if I'm looking at my iPad. I saved it. That was fun. Nice.
I wasn't sure what was going on there.
With this much speed, we can do a full roll. So on top of test flying the new setup, this was also a bit of a production test to fix things for the Fisk episode. I want to get a closer shot of the G1000, which this was a little too wide. I also didn't turn on the LED lights because I thought they'd be too bright for the FaceTime camera that I was using to share the panel with Jason. So I'm going to figure this out because I don't think the exposure was as good as it could have been. and the framing was a bit loose on the panel for this video, but this is not really about that. This was just an introduction to trying to use the panel.
And then the weather, if you want to use real world weather, we'll check in with the PilotEdge ATIS.
I love the idea that you can get the actual weather in here, and that's another part of the process that I would treat the same way. Like if you're going to execute a sim flight and your procedure is to start looking at the weather in a certain way when you fly airplanes, that's the way you should look at it when you fly a sim.
All the frequencies are modeled, so you'd use the real world ATIS, the real world ground control frequencies. So get all those set up as you would in the real airplane.
29er, 2.16, altimeter 299er1, arriving and departing runways 16 left, 16 right, visual approaches in use. Read back all runway assignments and hold short instructions. Advise on initial contact. You have information, Romeo.
Okay, it's Romeo. The first thing I did wrong was reach for the wrong baro knob, so it's up here.
Yeah, it's the wide knob there in the back.
Another mistake I made was not having a kneeboard set up to write things down, and Jason's about to bust me.
Wind 130 at 6. Visibility
500 for 7 Echo Foxtrot.
Okay, so I got ground standing by.
All right, you got the ATIS?
Ground, November 112.
Romeo.
Northeast transit, ready to taxi with Yankee.
All right, what are the winds?
November 112, Santa Monica ground runway 21.
It's favoring 1.6. I'm so, like I should have written it down. I can't believe I'm busy.
7 Echo Foxtrot, SoCal departure. Good morning.
That chatter is really good. I love it.
Yeah, because it's real.
Saturating.
I'm not ready task saturated because I'm reaching for the wrong baro knob. And then what the only fail here is the sim doesn't let me control volume, so I can't really quickly, like, I guess I can turn off. Oh yeah, I can. So I can hit that on the comm panel and just kill it. That's cool. Okay, so I use the hard buttons on the panel, just get it out of my ear, because that was killing me. Yeah, so I was like, I'm gonna get the altimeter set and I'm gonna get the frequency set, and I intentionally like thought I'll get away with not writing down all the details. And then you called me out on it.
It's really interesting too. It's, you know, we don't have to go down that whole standardization road because we already, you know, mentioned that point. But it also, what it'll do is when things are new to you, like new airport, new cockpit, new everything, it gives you a touchstone. It gives you like a foundation to sink into. So with all that chaos and all that noise and all these flashing lights, you can think all I need to do is get the ATIS and write it down. You know, like one step at a time, right? And then call ground.
If it was real, I would have had my kneeboard, I would have written it down, and there would have been no other chatter, but I didn't know how to control that. So that's cool. That's cool. I mean, this is really solidifying how good this tool will be once I have it set up to be real. I mean, I'll be wearing my pajamas.
Yeah, that was good.
But otherwise, okay. So now we have ATIS, and I didn't write it down, but it's Romeo. Altimeter's set, frequencies are set, ground, tower.
Yeah.
I'm not listening to anything right now because I tuned it out. So I used my hard buttons on my comm panel to kill that. Scott had a great story about how his sim training related to his real world airline flying.
You get in the simulators, which are very realistic simulators, but it's all about the scenario, how realistic the scenario is. So for example, my very first day as an airline pilot, I get into the cockpit, sit down, unpack my bags, and operations is calling us on the radio. And I look down and I know how the radio system works, but I don't know how to answer. I don't know what to say to the operations because it's not something that we used in the simulator. They get you on the ground. Most of the scenarios, they'll put you at the end of the runway, clear you for takeoff, and off you go, practice V1 cuts and approaches and things like that. But when it comes down to the day-to-day operations, the more you can cover in the simulator, the more prepared you are when you get in the actual airplane.
Anyway, let's get back on board. We're about ready to taxi.
You can draw on the plate and just have that available, you know, at a busy airport, and they're about to give you a clearance.
So I'm probably going to get Alpha 2 to Alpha 1 to Charlie. That's probably what I'll get for taxi. So for the sake of expediency, when I call in, should I say run of complete?
This is a temptation I think that every sim user has to decide upon, right? I think some days you're going to want to give yourself license to do that and just say, I'm going out to practice some skills. But you have to balance that with approaching the simulator the way you approach an airplane. Otherwise, at the end of the day, Steve, you're going to be a really good sim pilot.
So today, because I don't have the DA62 checklist, I'm not going to be able to properly do the run-up, so let's skip that. But I agree, next time we fly together when we go to AirVenture on the sim,
right?
we'll do the entire, I'll start cold and dark, and we'll like go through the whole checklist of the airplane. Okay, so I'm at a point now where I can get this back on, get on ground frequency, and pay attention to what's going on.
Departure, good afternoon.
Now, Am I listening to the right thing? I'm on ground, but I'm hearing guys talking departure.
You are. Depending on how the controller split is on PilotEdge, you know, we obviously can't have every individual position manned, so we have a couple controllers controlling multiple different sectors and frequencies.
Okay, so are you happy with how I'm set for now then? I got the altimeter set and nothing else in the panel.
Yeah, you could just ask him for a right crosswind departure, honestly, if you're going off 16 right. Just do that.
Van Nuys ground is Charlie Foxtrot Kilo Oscar. We're at Van Nuys on the ramp, looking for a right crosswind departure to the practice area. We've got information Romeo.
Charlie Foxtrot Kilo Oscar, Van Nuys ground, good afternoon. And verify type aircraft for me, please.
It's a DA-62 for Charlie Foxtrot Kilo Oscar.
Charlie Foxtrot Kilo Oscar, thanks. Good morning, runway 16 right, taxi be Alpha and Charlie.
Got to be Alpha and Charlie to 16 right. We'll contact tower holding short, Foxtrot Kilo Oscar. I added the hold short because he didn't give it to me, but doesn't make sense that he would have given that to me without a hold short. Would you agree?
No, no. In the States, yeah, it's implied. They would, at any airport, they would have just told you taxi runway 30 via Juliet or whatever. Okay. That doesn't mean you can enter the runway environment. You can't do that without a takeoff clearance.
I'm going to mute the
right
intercom for a minute again.
Report 3 miles north.
Okay, so this is what I'm doing. I'm holding short, facing the departure, so I know no one's on final. So once we can do our final takeoff, pre-takeoff checks, then we can contact tower and say we're ready to go for departure. We wouldn't say ready for takeoff.
I personally wouldn't turn the radio off here if you wouldn't turn the radio off there.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. So that this is me being a producer, right? It's okay, because this could be a big mistake if I didn't turn it back on. Or I could miss something important. That's what you're saying, right?
We were kind of taxiing real fast, and then we got out here, we just killed the radio because we needed to talk. And I'm just seeing missed opportunities to use this tool in a way that would help you with your flying at the airport.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I mean, I guess maybe, I don't know if you can see it through the FaceTime, how awkward I'm having to reach across myself to reach the throttle because I don't currently have a throttle. So that's a bit awkward. So this is definitely a work in progress, this whole setup, but it's close. Okay. It's getting there. Yeah. And of course, this is literally my first time trying to use it real.
Right.
Yeah, the more realistic, the more you can make it exactly like the airplane, the more benefits, the less bad habits that will build in the sim.
100%. Yeah, we totally agree.
Just do whatever you can to make it as realistic as possible, such as wearing a headset inside the simulator. Behaving the same as you would in the airplane kind of gets your mind into the proper mindset.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was excited to get the proper headset working because it's Bluetooth connected, so I can actually hear the ForeFlight callouts, which is a key part of my workflow. Anyway, all right, let's do this.
And you know your speeds and everything? You know your rotation, your climb?
Yeah, I was just gonna head for 70 or 80 and fly.
All right.
But I mean, you're right.
Oh boy, we got a lot of work to do, man.
Well, this is what we're here. This is my first time really treating it seriously. I don't have the checklist for the DA. So, okay, I'm going to be flying the DA-42 for real. This is a DA-62. So I'm thinking a rotation around 70 and climb at about 85, something like that. It'll probably feel right, but I'll probably know how it feels. But what do you think? Those numbers sound right?
Yeah, pretty darn close. Maybe a little higher than 70.
All right. Getting the radio back on. Going to listen so I don't step on anybody. In Van Nuys Tower is Charlie Foxtrot Kilo Oscar, holding short 16 right at Charlie, ready to go for a right-hand crosswind departure.
Charlie Foxtrot Kilo Oscar, Van Nuys Tower. Good morning. Turn right cross and departure is approved. Wind 130 at 6, runway 16 right, cleared for takeoff.
Cleared for takeoff 16 right with the right-hand turn approved. Charlie Foxtrot Kilo Oscar. All right. And final is still clear.
Approaching runway 16 right.
ForeFlight's calling it out. That's pretty sweet.
Entered runway 16 right. 7,900 feet remaining.
58 uniform, climb and maintain 1000.
All right, so I'm going to just quickly check to make sure my heading indicator agrees with what I think it looks like about 016. I don't have a compass in here, but if I did, I would check that too. Here we go. Okay, power is set. I don't think there's takeoff flaps in this thing, but I didn't set them. Airspeed's alive, and temperatures and pressures are good. Or are they? Yes. Okay, there's 75.
Number 1128, contact SoCal approach 128.1.
Okay.
128.1, November.
Forget which gear I set to. And there goes the gear. Okay.
Good. You keep your hand on that till the gear's up?
That's a good idea. Yeah, it's a weird button where I have it.
Yeah, statistically, most engine failures happen with a change of power, so I would put whatever altitude you consider critical.
And Diamond, Charlie, Foxtrot, Kilo Oscar. If you have a Mode C transponder, turn it on squawk altitude, please.
It's automatic. It should be 1200. Is it not automatic?
If you could just make sure that it's on, maybe cycle it off and then back on for me, that'd be great.
Okay, stand by. I don't know how to do that. Jason, help.
Show me your panel. Give me the other screen, the hotkey. Give me the hotkey that shows me not outside. Yeah, there you go.
He wants to ident.
There you go. So turn it. Go back. You had it a second ago.
Transponder ident.
Stay on my frequency. Taxi to the terminal ramp.
Yeah, it's on standby. There you go.
Ident.
And then back on the...
Charlie, Foxtrot, Kilo Oscar. Thanks for seeing altitude readout now. Appreciate it.
All right, that's cool. He made me work there.
Nice. Yeah, that's very cool.
Am I in a good heading? I'll fly west.
Charlie,
keep in mind I can't see out your window, but west is a good heading. Yes, you're headed towards Santa Susana Pass.
Okay, I got the window view back. Let's start using some automation here, and then once we get out of here, we'll ask for. We're almost at the edge of the control zone, right? How do I zoom out my little map view here? Range.
In the range knob on the left side, other side. Well, that range knob zooms the MFD. The other range knob zooms
November 355.
This one?
You had it. That one zooms the inside.
Number 3558 uniform.
All right, so I'm at 3000.
SoCal approach, Roger.
Pulled the power back a little bit.
Altimeter 2978.
Want to just use the autopilot for a second?
SoCal, good morning. November 3161 Tango with you. Pass 160.
I can't wait to get out of this frequency. So should I ask for clear? Should I ask to
SoCal departure radar
clearance of route or something?
4000.
It's fine. It's kind of assumed once you fly clear of what you're calling the control zone, the class Delta area. But like if he's busy, he doesn't have to tell you that.
Oh, it's assumed that I could just do it. You mean?
Charlie, Foxtrot, Kilo Oscar. Free exchange approved.
Foxtrot, Kilo Oscar. Okay. There. That's a lot.
That's a lot. And you think about aviate, navigate, communicate, right?
Adds a whole new level of stress, doesn't it? In the sim, you can go from anything from a Cessna 150 or even a Piper Cub all the way up to a 747. So some people jump into the fastest, coolest airplane they can fly, and they're really not quite ready for it. So it is good to start small and learn and take the actual steps to do it right, because as you can see, it gets very, very busy very quick.
Then this sort of awesome moment happened, which really illustrated loss of situational awareness.
Anyway, all that stuff looking good, and we can work on the G1000 a bit if you want. Or Scott, if you have anything to add on.
So ForeFlight just gave me a warning as we head towards this mountain peak that we're 500 AGL. That's pretty cool. I've never heard that one before. So I guess maybe I should make a little turn here, huh?
Yeah, the marine layer looks pretty realistic.
Yeah. That's pretty cool though.
Yeah.
ForeFlight was like, can I just let you guys know that you're about to fly a mountain?
It's pretty neat how you can get ForeFlight to interact with the simulator so that you have your location, and it does give you those warnings, and it's just like being in the actual airplane.
So thanks for watching. If you made it to the end, I really crammed this one together quickly, but I thought it was valuable to share, and I really hope some of you guys make it out next week. And until next time, keep your flight chops sharp.
So all the users are piled into the one arrival. It's going to be extremely busy. The controllers are going to have their workload cut out for them, but like I said, they're real world. They can handle it. They can handle it every year. So it's going to be absolutely incredible. And it is multiple days, so if you want to get on and fly it over and over again, departures as well, you can take the arrival, land on runway 27 or 36, left or right, and taxi back out and do a departure and come back in, do it again, or on multiple days. You can do it multiple times.
Now, that makes a good point too, is that the NOTAM...
We do have a specific SimVenture NOTAM that follows very closely to the real world NOTAM, but it is not word for word, so it's important to read that NOTAM.
You couldn't read last year's NOTAM for this year, so no, I think it's cool if you guys have actually written a NOTAM specific to SimVenture that pilots are expected to be familiar with. Don't show up and having not read the NOTAM. Like anybody that does that for real, they just get turned around, right? It's like, no, no, no.
Absolutely, and it's going to be very much the same. We know if you've read the NOTAM, we expect everyone to be prepared for the flight, and if you're causing mayhem, we may have to break you out, send you back over the lake, and do a couple laps before we can fit you back in. So very important to make sure that you're familiar with the NOTAM and following.
Awesome.